Hey you guys. Okay, slightly different location today, but I figured it was the perfect spot to be because I wanted to talk about some of the plants that I personally keep inside of my greenhouse. And disclaimer before we begin, I collect a lot of rare plants. In order to love plants and have beautiful plants, you do not need to collect rare plants. You can have the most beautiful pothos. I'm staring at my marble queen right now. It's huge, it's a stunner. You don't need rare plants. But I love them, so I wanted to share with you guys what I have in mind. So I will start by this cabinet here. We'll do the couple that we can see here behind me. So this one over here is my Anthurium clarinervium right here. Beautiful heart leaves, beautiful veining. So they are an aroid, and where they come from, they like high humidity, warmer temperatures, not too bright light, which is why it's quite a distance off the grow lights. So for that reason, especially the high humidity, I keep it inside of a greenhouse. You can see here also an Anthurium crystallineum. I have so many of these, so they're a little beat up from going through transit, but there's one of them looking all cute. Then over here, I have the Albo Monstera, and it is currently rooting. It does not need to be in a greenhouse, but a lot of plants will benefit from being in a greenhouse. So it's currently rooting. It's sitting in some sphagnum moss. It's still just a little baby, hasn't grown for me yet because I got it unrooted. But having that little bit of grow light, that little bit of humidity, it doesn't hurt many plants. It really does help a lot of plants thrive. So because that plant is special to me and I really want it to do well, it's in the greenhouse, getting that extra bump. Like I said, I've got a lot of crystallineums. You can see more down there. Okay, now I have a lot of totemed plants also. So I brought one out to show you guys kind of what it looks like up close. But this one is a beauty. I'll put its name here, Philodendron, the Milano. Now I have this one on a totem, and I've made a lot of these totems. So this is just a plastic coated garden fencing you can pick up at like Home Depot, and it's filled with just a sphagnum moss. And in order to attach the actual plants to the moss pole, I personally use a bun bobby pin. So it works like a charm. You can just plug it in there into the moss and, you know, don't crush your little plant stem or anything, but you can just use it to pin the support. And then if you can actually see those beautiful little roots growing out there? That's only been in this greenhouse growing that tall. Like these two leaves are quite new in the last month. It's put out all these roots within the last month. So they do start to root themselves. If you have put an actual climbing variety onto a pole, it should start to hang on by itself. I can definitely do a tutorial on how to make these. If anybody's interested, just let me know down below. But he and many other similar climbers reside in the greenhouse. Again, they are a little more tender. A lot of these kinds of philodendrons, anthuriums, you can acclimate them to just live in your living room. However, you'll sometimes start to notice some crispy edges. They won't live their best life. Also, like I've mentioned before, I am in Canada. I know like if you don't have plants and added humidity in your home here, sometimes it's like 17% in the winter, like it's not good. So they would not be tolerant of that. I keep it in the greenhouse. So another Anthurium who looks similar but isn't, this is a very juvenile Anthurium. So if anyone knows what a magnificum looks like, this is what it looks like as a baby. So this is an Anthurium magnificum. The leaves will get much, much larger. This is his newest little leaf. But I do enjoy growing Anthuriums from juveniles. I have purchased larger, more mature Anthuriums as well, but there is something so rewarding about having like the tiniest little nub of a stump and just regrowing all kinds of beautiful leaves. I'm so proud. So Little Magnificum, same thing, needs high humidity. I don't want to subject it to my house and have the edges go brown and crispy when I can get such beautiful, perfect leaves in a greenhouse. So, another Anthurium. Now moving on to a different species. So I do love Anthuriums and Philodendrons. They're totally a love of mine. However, I have a weird soft spot for Alocasia. And this guy, now, he doesn't need to live in a greenhouse at all. Probably everyone watching this has one of these or has killed one. But this is a baby Alocasia amazonica. I was repotting my Alocasia in the spring and a number of bulbs fell out in the soil. And so I gathered them all up and shoved them in some moss just to see what would happen. And one of them sprouted. So you can kind of see his little bulb in there. There he is. One of them rooted, sprouted, and just gave me this leaf, and I'm beside myself. So, like I said, he doesn't need a greenhouse. However, it's really, really helpful for boosting plants. So Alocasia, definitely love it. If anyone has grown an Alocasia, you know they are a spider mite attractor. That's also why the greenhouse rocks. Spider mites need to be in a dry climate, so the high humidity inside of these greenhouses, they just can't handle it. So to protect my Frydek, my beautiful Alocasia amazonica, the big one, this cute little bean, I keep them in the greenhouse. So while we're on the topic, and I mentioned it, same thing, a sweet little baby Frydek. So these guys, they totally don't need, 80% humidity, but while I'm raising them from children, I'm gonna give them the best house possible. So they're living in the tall Millsbow right now. Another one who I'm just totally loving right now is an Alocasia Maharani. So this one's really cool. He's like leathery and kind of like, they do silver out a little bit as the leaves mature. They kind of look like an elephant, but right now his veining is like totally spectacular. He's almost got like a bit of like I don't even know how to describe him, but their foliage does stiffen out as they get older. So right now he's pretty malleable on this new leaf, but he's looking so pretty. I love him. I just shared a picture of him in a local plant group because I'm just so shocked because all my other leaves were so dorky and this one is like so picturesque and amazing. And I totally attribute it to living in the greenhouse. Look at him, he's thriving. He was like putting out these little goofy leaves and now look at this, amazing. So Alocasia, I totally like to keep in the greenhouse. Okay, on to a different type of plant now, and I've got a few to show you, are Hoyas. So I have seen people do entire greenhouses like this just for their Hoya collections, and it's a really good idea. The Hoyas, they love to dry out, but they also love high humidity. So I'm not kidding when I tell you, I'll try and insert a photo of this plant when I got it, like literally a month and a half ago, but this is my cute little Hoya Matilde. Now, it is growing like an actual psycho. So if you have Hoyas, you know they put out a growth and then slowly grow leaves along it. So I know it's really hard to see, but all those little teeny weeny guys, they open, they're so cute. They open like this and then they split and then they slowly grow into nice big juicy waxy leaves. So that's what he's doing. He's growing like crazy. So he is super, super happy to be living in the tall Millsbow and under all of those grow lights. So Hoyas, they love it. Another Hoya, and my personal favorite, don't tell the others, is this beautiful silver lacunosa, or they used to be called a super Eskimo, super silver variety of a lacunosa. I love trailing Hoyas. I think that Hoyas are so beautiful with their nice, thick, waxy leaves. It's just, this silver one really has my heart. Also, probably because it took me so long to find one. Like, I hunted everywhere. So, another Hoya who is thriving in here. And I have the Hoya polyneura, the fishtail Hoya, the silver version, who I also have the regular one. There's a little baby of him right there, but I wanted to show you this one because he's already growing. I had to cut him. I did split this plant with a friend. So there, he's already put out new growth. I cut him like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and he's already putting out so much new growth. Like unreal, too cool. So again, I have to attribute this not to my skills as a plant parent, although I would love to, but 100% to the high humidity and the grow lights of these IKEA cabinets. Amazing. Okay, so another plant, and I've seen tons of people ask questions about whether or not they can grow orchids in their greenhouse, and the answer is a resounding yes. This is my Jewel Orchid, Macodes petola. Don't at me for my pronunciation. I can spell it, I can't say it. But here he is, he's living in his cute little glass dome from Michael's, and again, it looks cool on camera, but I'm telling you, if you could see it in person, it is even cooler. The Jewel Orchids do incredible in here, and I don't personally grow orchids myself. I'm just not a big flower woman. I'm a little more of a foliage woman. So love the Jewel Orchid, and definitely that high humidity does just wonders. Like when I got this thing, the leaves were all so small, it was tiny, and the newer leaves that it's putting out are just huge and beautiful. So orchids, toss them in the cabinet. Now, for one, here's a good example of another one that I had in the greenhouse for a long time that I really didn't need to. I just wanted to give him a boost. So I have a nice Cebu Blue. I had it in the greenhouse for quite a while he was a little smaller, just to help it boost the growth a bit. Definitely doesn't need to be in a greenhouse, just an epipremnum, but like I said, there's not too many plants that hate being in high humidity and under grow lights. So he totally thrived, he took off, he's doing incredible. And for anyone wondering if you can just rip a plant out of the greenhouse and toss it in your living room, the answer is yes. I ripped him right out from his home, didn't even bother to acclimate him, and put him in the living room. That wouldn't work for every plant, but it did work for him. I would never do that with like an Anthurium or some of the more rare Philodendrons. When you're acclimating those, you'd want to be working on slowly building their tolerance to the lower humidity. So whether that's opening your cabinets for 10, 20, 30 minutes, you know, every day and building up across a couple weeks, or lowering the humidity in your cabinet slowly across a couple of weeks, like 10% at a time. But some plants are just like, put me in the greenhouse and I'll grow amazing, or remove me from the greenhouse and I'll still be happy and keep growing. He's been out of the greenhouse now for maybe 2 weeks and he is doing just fine. He never really went through anything. He's got kind of one yellow leaf on the top, but he had that while he was in the greenhouse. So he now lives out here. So I wanted to end this video talking about some plants that I wouldn't put in the cabinet, at least not the way I have it currently set up. And that would be cacti and succulents. So the way that I have my cabinet set up, it has 3 main elements: grow lights, humidity, and heat. For things like cactuses, they could totally use the grow lights and they could totally use the heat, but they do not want that high humidity. So if I were to want to have a beautiful cabinet and display my cactus in it, I would keep grow lights in, I would ditch the weatherproofing, I would ditch the fountain, I would probably keep a fan, just because airflow is always good. Like, you just don't want to have the stagnant air in there, especially when it's sealed. Like, your plants in your home, you're moving, doors are opening, windows are opening, like air is moving. You seal the doors of this, even if it's not airtight because you don't have the weatherproofing, the air just still isn't moving in there. So no harm in just tossing a little inexpensive fan in there. But if I were to want to have a beautiful succulents, you know, a little like Arizona looking cabinet, I would just basically set my cabinet up a little bit different. But still, totally, you can use these things and put none of the bells and whistles in, except for, again, maybe that fan. But just the way that I have mine set up, it's really mainly to keep like my cool philodendrons and anthuriums alive and thriving. So that's my little mini tour of what do I keep in my IKEA greenhouses. Hope that this was helpful. If anybody has any questions, definitely let me know. Tell me what you keep in your greenhouse. Again, tag me in your greenhouses. You can follow me on Instagram at instagram.com/Planterior Decorator. And feel free to tag me. I love seeing what everyone does with their cabinets. It helps inspire me to, renovate, update, do cool things with mine. So I so appreciate it. And finally, thank you guys again so much for watching. We're about to hit 2,000 subscribers, which is awesome. I continue to appreciate it. It's so awesome that you guys are coming along with me. I am super glad. Actually, really cool fact, Harley G just followed me on Instagram today, which totally made my day. That was awesome. And it got me in a really super happy planty mood. So thank you guys again, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, you guys.